Welcome to Lower the Bar with John and Joe. Remember to breathe. This is your Power Hour. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Lower the Bar with John and Joe. I'm John.
And I'm Joe.
Welcome. We are at our third podcast. Can you believe it?
Yes.
This is awesome. And today we're going to talk about what it means to be an empath and identifying that. And we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, we certainly are, because I have a lot of experience with being an empath. I didn't know I was an empath, but I remember when we had our first child and I didn't have a car. I'd be walking up and down Madison Avenue in Albany, just out for a little stroll with the baby. And people would come up to me and tell me their problems, unbelievable problems. And I can't really resolve them. I would just listen and say,
did you have like a counselor on your forehead?
Yes, that's what my friend said, that counselor was written on my forehead all the time. But I would go home and think about it and say, I wonder what happened to that lady I met. I wonder if she had some place to go. And I thought, why do I worry about things that I can't control? But I did for years. I really didn't know till I was in my 30s that I was an empath.
So how did you deal with that? What did you do for yourself?
Nothing. I didn't know that I was an empath. I just thought, why am I so sensitive? And of course, as my daughter grew up, she was sensitive too. And I would say to her, you're sensitive just like me. Try not to be so sensitive. But she's the one that started finding a path to help herself. And she said, Mom, we're empaths. I said, what's that? 20% of the population is empathic to the point where it can disturb their lives, both emotionally and physically.
Well, speaking of, I don't mean to interrupt you, but how much anxiety did that create for you?
I was pretty busy. I didn't have time to ruminate on the anxiety. I would do probably for about 2 weeks. I would think about the last person I met. And I didn't ever.
Oh my gosh, that's a long time.
Well, it wasn't 24 hours a day, but I can still tell you what that lady looks like. And I'm not kidding you. And I was 23 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And I can still tell you, yeah, she's probably, have passed on, of course. But yes, I can, because I saw and I felt the pain in her face. She just needed somebody to listen. So I just talked to her, and she just said, thank you. You're a dear spirit. And maybe that's all she needed. I don't know, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. So let's talk about all of you out there who are impacted by other people's feelings. First of all, John, are you an empath?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me how it impacts you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the way it is when you're.
Well, I'm an unusual case in terms of that narrative, because I feel everything. I feel emotion, feelings, energy. I pick up a lot from people, and it doesn't stop. Not just do I pick that up, but being a medical intuitive, I can feel what's going on in their body, disease, inflammation, whatever that might be. But yeah, I pick up on that energy, and just people walking by. That's how connected I am to that, in a sense, because I don't have to talk to them or hear their story. I just can feel them. So it was very hard to integrate that and to teach myself how to turn that off, actually. And that's
to roll with it, just because you would have to.
But I think that's important to our listeners too, that we're going to discuss how, again, to identify and work with it. So you can move through it. It doesn't impact you in ways that are harmful to your health and wellness. So, yeah. So the answer would be yes, extremely.
Before we go any further, I want to say thank you to the dozens of you who sent emails into us, giving us suggestions and saying how much you liked our show. We so appreciate that, especially being beginners. So keep it up. You can see our email there. We're happy to hear from you. And you know what I'd like to do? Just in case there's somebody that can't stay for long, of course, they can always listen to it later. But I just want to say that I have read tons of stuff on being an empath. This book is absolutely amazing. The Empath Survival Guide by Judith Orloff. She's an MD who left her regular practice because she was so sensitive and wanted. Okay, there's the book. She left.
Don't have any attachment to that. Let go
No,
of that.
No. It's not alive, but it has so much wonderful information in it. And I can just tell you, she left her practice and now and began a new practice, and she only accepts empaths in her practice. So can you imagine how dedicated this woman is to helping people with empathy that's really interferes with their life? It's not just your basic empathy. It sometimes causes very serious illness in people.
Yes, it does affect health.
So 20% of our population has this, I call it a gift. It is a gift because anytime your senses are heightened, you have to learn to appreciate them in order to enjoy them. And this is a very heightened sense of other people's feelings, which you also have to learn to block the energy suckers, the ones that'll just suck the energy right out of you and not feel guilty about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too.
That's good. I agree. I also think, again, identifying this is so important. Understanding, and again, having that energy and feeling other people, like you were just saying, is a gift. It also is connected to our innate and our intuition, and learning to understand that the fact that you can feel other people's feelings and they impact you is, like you said, a very positive thing to have, to absorb, to feel that, and you can use that to help navigate your day.
Absolutely. And your relationships.
Yes.
Because just think about it. If you have a conversation with someone who doesn't have any empathy, it feels like they're not listening. Even if they go, they're not. You just think, I feel like I wasn't heard. Whereas an empath is the opposite. So I see it as a gift. I really do see it as a gift.
So why don't you talk a little bit, Joe, about the type of empaths there are? I think that's important because there are many different kinds of empaths.
Yeah. I want to pinpoint some things in the book. Okay.
All right. You just go do that.
Judith covers them. It's just amazing. Even before I do that, I'd like to say that if you're interested in finding out if you are an empath, you can use this book that I was telling you about, or go online. Am I an empath? There are all kinds of quizzes that you can take that will help you figure out what kind of empath you are. They'll say if you have 5 out of these 8 descriptions, you're this kind of an empath. And they really do guide you so that you get to know yourself better. The physical empath, oh my gosh. Have you ever met a hypochondriac? Very often, if you're a hypochondriac and you think everything's wrong with you at any different time, there are a lot of different reasons for being that way. But very often, empaths take this on because they do take on the feelings of others. They really believe they have all these things wrong with them.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, Joe, but
that's okay.
That's a very, really important point of manifestation. And when you live in that space of being a hypochondriac, you actually begin to create these illnesses or whatever you're thinking about, whatever's coming up in your mind, or, my leg hurts, and then you just focus on it. And then all of a sudden your leg really begins to hurt.
Absolutely.
And you create this.
Because you're creating your path.
Yes.
Whatever you think about yourself, it's true.
Yes.
Change your thoughts, change your path.
It's that simple.
It is that simple.
You know, I want to point this out too. We're going to talk about a lot of different subjects, a lot of different things, but we are here to tell you that doing this kind of work isn't that hard. You know, we're kind of taught, again, the complete opposite, the antithesis of what we need to do for ourselves. You know, we're so distracted, everything just comes at us. And they're just some basic, what am I thinking about? Like just basic things that we can do for ourselves that move us through all of this. It isn't as hard as everyone thinks to get in touch with yourself, to understand. You know, it's not about tree hugging and that whole thing about that. It's really about just going inside, trusting your instincts.
Trusting your instincts, recognizing that we all have them.
Yes.
Trust
exactly.
them. And I think the more you trust them, the more they guide you.
Absolutely.
I really believe that.
And that's the key. You know, we have all the power. We have all the control. We're taught the complete opposite. We're taught, again, that codependence, but we really have all the ability to do this.
You know, a perfect example of that is a 2-year-old that acts out, that won't do anything mom or dad say at certain points in the day. They're not doing that to be oppositional they're doing it because they're separating themselves from everything that you've been controlling since they were in utero. They're just learning, I am separate from you. And they're just showing that. So,
or attention.
Yeah.
They want attention.
Yeah, but they have to go through that in the terrible twos to separate themselves, to really recognize. But then we still continue to do everything for them. So that wanes. And as you're saying it, even as adults, you wait till somebody tells you, what should I do? Where should I go? What's next?
We need to trust our instincts.
We need to trust our instincts and realize that we have them.
Absolutely.
But physical empaths, ask yourself, if I'm with someone who is in physical pain and I spend the afternoon with them, do I leave feeling some of that pain? These are one of the characteristics, but not everybody has all the characteristics. Do I get energized by some people and depleted by others? And if you spend the afternoon with someone, do you go home and you feel exhausted? Think about why. I mean, if you're playing tennis, maybe that'd be one thing. But if you're just going out to lunch and hanging out, how does this person exhaust you? Let's see. Do you feel chronically fatigued, but you don't know why? But if you look back on the days or the situations that you felt that way, it's probably when you were with certain people. And that is a physical empath.
And you can carry that for a while in the body.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Not just up here, like thinking about it, like physically carry that energy, that vibration in the body. Empaths
are often, if they're physical empaths, they're very sensitive to alcohol. They can't drink too much alcohol. I know myself. If I have a half a glass of wine, I love everyone. I usually love everyone to begin with, but a half a glass of wine, and even though I know you got X, Y, and Z,
it's over.
It's over. They're also very sensitive to sugar and processed foods. So if you're having problems with processed foods, sugar and alcohol, and you just look at these symptoms, look at some of these things online, and you can figure it out. And you figure out, what am I going to do about it? It's pretty easy. You don't eat processed food. You limit your sugar. Sugar is not good for you anyway. But let's talk about emotional empaths. I'm more of emotional. I'm a little bit of both, but I'm more of the emotional empath. Although I don't like crowds. I really don't. I was very surprised. My kids gave me a birthday surprise and took me to Tears for Fears concert. And I thought, oh my God, 6 million people. But it was okay. It was fine. It was fun because it wasn't 6 million people. It was more like 5. But it was okay. The seats next to us, nobody ever came to them, and I loved that. So that was cool. But I'm more of an emotional empath. What's an emotional empath? Do I pick up other people? I try not to, but being a hypnotist, I hear some pretty horrible things, some difficult things, as you do. And an hour session, you can be, well, my sessions are much longer than that. Well, yours are too, very often. Sometimes a consultation itself, when I hear everything that a person is going through, I think, oh my gosh, how blessed I am. And I guess that's one of the ways that I deal with it. Thank you, God, for giving me the life that you've given me, because it does make it easier for me to help other people. Because I'm not saying, oh, well, I got that too. Boy, do I have that at home.
Right. That's important.
Yeah, it is important. How do I cope with arguments? If you have an argument with somebody, oh boy, I don't like to argue. I will argue, but I don't like to, especially an argument that just is more than an argument. And you're thinking about it later on. I should have said this. I should have said that. A lot of empaths do that. Why did I let him say that to me? That's very much an empath. So take the little quizzes online and find out which you are, and think about the illnesses that you have. Some people run off to the doctor with every illness they have, and the doctor goes, I take an aspirin. I really can't find anything. If the doctor says that to you, look at your emotions. We are going to, I think is it next week? Next podcast, we're going to talk about emotions.
Yes.
And how to
resonance.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about emotions, how to handle them, how to move through them, and how to change your responses to change your life.
Yeah, that's very important.
Oh my gosh, yes. There's just so much to talk about. How about empaths and love? Sometimes.
No, I was going to say that's a very sort of tricky subject there.
It's kind of loaded.
Well, when you're talking about love and relationships, there's already that connection there. So this could be a really positive thing in a relationship, or it could be, I don't want to say destructive, but I think it could be distracting in terms of being just relating to your partner, connecting, understanding, if one's an empath and one's not, that sometimes is good because you're not absorbing and there's sort of objectivity in the relationship.
As long as the one that's not is understanding of your needs.
Well, exactly. But also too, and we talked about this morning, that two empaths can be not that great, but it also could be very good because both of you are in touch with your emotions. You're very connected, and that can be healthy.
It can be very healthy if there's emotional maturity.
Yes, but that's the problem. Everyone brings their baggage to the party. Their
emotional age with them.
Yes. So it's really just learning to navigate. That's what this is about, just navigating in a way that makes you feel good, that just, brings you joy in your life, that this kind of interaction or feelings that you're having doesn't stress you. And that's the whole point, is again, identifying I think what's happening, and then you can work with it so much easier. It doesn't become so abrasive, so impactful in your life.
But I think for empaths, when they have feelings for another person, but they decide, let's say it's a partner, well, not a partner yet, but someone they're going with, and then they go, oh, no, I don't think he or she is right for me. But the empathy part goes, oh, I can't break up with them. They'll be so hurt if I do. And they stay in a relationship for so long. And you're right. You need to say, is this good for me? The only person that you're in charge of creating a happy life for is yourself. Absolutely. We get our happiness from within inside, not externally. If we don't have that happiness inside, we aren't able to appreciate external happiness.
But that's Joe, but that's really the key to life almost. If you reduce it to its lowest integer, it's just about happiness and being self-contained, not really worrying about what other people think, what they think of you, in that way. We digest it, we think about it, but really becoming your own individual internally. So, again, you're not affected by this. You're sort of directing your life. You're creating it, manifesting it, and again, not being impacted. And listen, I'm the first to tell you, it comes down the pike. There's nothing you can do with it. They're triggers the universe creates.
Right. And we're human.
Yes. And all of this stuff happens around us, but it's happening for a reason because we haven't moved through it. And again, I think we need to talk about, and this is such an integral part of this issue we're talking about, this narrative of empathy, is understanding it and moving through it. That's really the best way I could put it, because it impacts you differently when you understand it.
Absolutely. Especially, I think, if you're tired. If you're tired, it's very difficult to be an empath and move through in a healthy way. Because sometimes you just go, you know what? I'm just sick of it. I can't handle all this. A lot of people get what's called adrenal fatigue because they're so stressed, and not necessarily from a partner, so stressed from work, responsibilities, having children, just everything, just life, that they get what's called adrenal fatigue. And they really need to take care of themselves. Please read this book. There's wonderful things. Empaths love water. A hot bath with Epsom salts will make so much difference. I'm trying to put this where we can see it here. That's just one of the things.
Yes.
That's just
actually, that's a really good thing, because you're not just, it's a metaphor in a sense, but you really are washing away the energy of the day. Tell me, look, everybody, when you get home, you've had a long day, you're hot, sweaty, you jump in the shower. Don't you feel amazing after? Like every time you get out, you take that breath the minute you step out of that tub or, your shower stall, and you just like putting your towel on, and you're just like, oh yeah.
It's like a new beginning.
Yeah. But that's what we need to do structurally, internally. We need to, without actually taking a shower, take a shower, take a mental shower.
A mental shower.
Yeah. Just clean.
And it could be meditation.
All that stuff out.
It could be just stop for 5 minutes.
Well, that's a whole nother subject, but I think talking about what we're talking about now, meditation is really important, people. I just want to let you know, to stop the brain, to slow the mind down, is really important. We've proven this scientifically. It has impact on our lives, on our body. We don't vibrate at the same level. We kind of calm down and just relax after that experience. And then what happens is things begin to come into focus. We begin to have a better understanding of ourselves, because everything's not racing around. We're not, we're not in the future, which is anxiety. We're not thinking about, oh, how I messed up today or whatever. You're just present.
In the now.
Yes.
In the now.
And that's so important. Everyone needs to know that this is the key. It doesn't take much. It just takes the time and the focus.
And as we
That's
say,
the
you
problem.
have to do the work, but it's
No,
not
I
really
can't-
hard work.
I can't tell you how many people I talk to who say, oh yeah, I don't have the time. Oh, my day was so busy. I'm like, you can meditate on the line at the supermarket or the pharmacy or whatever you're doing. Just take a few breaths, close your eyes, and just calm yourself. It will.
When you get back to the car, you load your groceries, you
Yeah,
sit there for
exactly.
half a minute.
Because you'll pivot. You'll go in another direction than where you were heading. It just takes that time to stop the signal to the brain. It'll take you out of that sort of anxiety, that confusion, or all those thoughts, because we tend to overthink a lot. And that's also another big problem. And that's going to be a great topic for another podcast, is how much we overthink and how that
creates anxiety.
It gets in our way, and it prevents us from being present. And I'm just here to let you know, Joe and I have enough experience to understand that it really is about being present and staying present. And that's when we're our most creative, most powerful. And that's when we can do this kind of work. But it takes that focus, that time to just calm the brain down. Put your cell phone down, put the computer down, you know?
Turn the TV and the radio, the music off.
Stop being so connected. Go outside.
Yes.
Listen, people, there's something called grounding where you take your you take your shoes off and just sit outside with your feet on the ground, touching dirt, sand, not concrete, on the ground, and just feel the energy, connect to the earth. It will provide you with incredible, forget just the electromagnetic energy that comes from the core of the earth, but it will just feed you and you'll just feel so much better. It's kind of, again, all of these exercises are so simple, but we lose sight. We just forget because life happens. But
we don't realize the impact of these little things on us. You could just go home and I'm home from work. Take a glass of water or something cold to drink. Go outside, take your shoes off before you even start dinner or anything else. Put them up and just look up at the sky. 5 or 10 minutes. It will change the thrust of your evening. It just will. And to many people, that sounds really stupid, waste of time, boring, but it's supposed to be not stimulating. Just try it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Yes. And that really is who you are, yourself, and how to navigate. And just remember, one of the most important things in no matter what your problems are, is eating a healthy diet. And lots of times adrenal failure comes in with clients who are empaths and they realize they are not eating a healthy diet. And that's very, very important. It can cause so many problems that you'll say, oh, it's the stress of my life. Well, it could be that you're stressing your body by not eating healthily. So think about that too. Also, foods can create anxiety because, again, it's where if it's sugar, depending upon what it is, it's triggering and activating other systems in the body that are impacted by all of this. So what are you doing? I'm just, because that stand that I put up doesn't stay up. That's all right. So, okay. So at another podcast, I think we need to talk about integrating all of this. Yeah. And how you actually do it. Because again, I want our audience to know it is that simple. We're our own worst enemy. We get in our own way. We don't, we make it hard for ourselves, but the actual application of doing this stuff is pretty easy. It is. You just have to take the time and make yourself the priority, people. You got to do that. Remember, you're the chairman of the corporation. No one's going to do it for you. So when that stress gets to you and your day and the kids are driving you crazy and all of that, take those few minutes. You'll be energized. You'll be more connected. You'll have more clarity, and you won't do things that you regret later because there's no clarity. It's impulsive. It's just reactive. And if you take that time to create that space internally, you don't make stupid mistakes. Well, maybe you do, but they're less, you can limit the damage that we do from our choices. And I remember being the mother of 3, which I still am, going to school nights and working full time as a teacher. And you come home, you go, oh my God, I got so much to do. Sometimes you just fall on the floor and play with your kids and forget all that stuff. Exactly. It's going to be there tomorrow and the kids will love it. And then when they go to bed, you're doing your homework till midnight. Exactly. So we want to thank all our viewers for joining us again. And the next podcast, again, we're going to talk about emotional resonance and continue to talk about empathy and being an empath. How easily those emotions are triggered. Yes. And cell memory, and start to talk about that. So you guys have a better understanding of what that actually means. So you can let go of that process and, or what you do to yourself and move through it. So you're not triggered again. That's the whole point of this. So life doesn't impact you the way it is, because for so many of us, it works, but it doesn't work. We kind of, again, automatic pilot, and we're there. So, and eventually you'll recognize the triggers. but you won't respond the same
Right,
way. You'll go,
exactly, exactly,
yes.
exactly. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you on our next podcast.
Okay, I just want to say one more time, the Empath Survival Guide by Judith Orla, MD.
Mm.
It's fantastic.
Well,
Thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you again.